Is your magic meter running low? Well, we've got a cure for you. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePauli, and today on the show I have my friend Jeff Victor joining me. Hello, Jeff Victor, and welcome.
Hello, Jeff DePauli.
We are recording on November 12th, 2019. If you are a Disney fan, you most likely know that means it is launch day for Disney Plus, the much anticipated Disney streaming service, and we've been up for a while, haven't we?
A really long time.
Yeah, we woke up kind of early today to check out every single original production created for Disney Plus. So let's jump into that conversation right now.
It's time to dive into today's Disney dialogue.
Alrighty, so, like I said, we woke up early in the morning. It launched in the middle of the night. I guess kind of the night prior. It was rolling out, and it worked pretty well. I know there was a little bit of concern about, the app wasn't available days in advance and people were worried about it crashing, but overall, I'd say good day for Disney Plus. Didn't run into any major issues. At one point, it crashed for maybe 20 minutes or so, but other than that, all good, right?
Yeah, it was pretty clear and running smoothly. Except for that one minor crash in the morning.
Yeah. So I do want to warn you folks before we get going, we're going to be talking about all of the new original programming. We literally watched everything that's available on day one as far as original programming is concerned. So there might be some spoilers in here. There shouldn't be anything too major, but if there's like some project that you don't want to hear anything about, when we get to it, you can probably forward 5 minutes or so and be fine. But I just wanted to give that warning at the beginning. So we started the day with, I gotta be honest, not something I expected to start the day with, although that's a little strange because you would expect this from me, but I did expect to start with Jeff Goldblum. I've been saying for a while, Jeff Goldblum, that's gonna be my number one. But when I opened the menu, and by the way, it's very much like Netflix. If you're familiar with the layout of Netflix and the way Netflix looks and works, it's very similar to that, so not a hard learning curve or anything, which was nice because I gotta be honest, I am like Amazon. You ever use Amazon?
Yeah.
Confusing. I'm like, this is not user-friendly.
Yeah, Amazon's a little bit confusing. The one thing I didn't like about this one is I felt like the text was way too small.
The text was too small?
When you were navigating.
I think you need glasses. I didn't have a problem with that. I don't know. I didn't notice too small. But in any case, it was, we started the day with the Imagineering story. Now this, I will say, a good amount of this content that came out on opening day is stuff that's kind of been sitting on shelves for a while in some cases. And Imagineering story is one of those things. Years ago, I want to say maybe 2016, if not earlier, a trailer came out online for the Imagineering story, and it was a documentary by Leslie Iwerks, who is Ub Iwerks' daughter. And this is, they broke it up into pieces, so now there's like a season one, and they show essentially the first hour. And they've gone back and shot some things, because there was definitely some like current stuff that was like, okay, they've gone and reworked this bit. But it's very exciting to see this, because it was kind of announced with the trailer at one point, and then it disappeared, and Disney fans, all the Disney Parks fans love that sort of stuff. So we're like, what happened to the Imagineering story? I'm thrilled that it's on Disney Plus. And, I loved it. It was probably my favorite thing of the day. How'd you feel about it?
I enjoyed it. It kind of felt like it was one of those programs you would watch, like, sitting in a lobby waiting for something, though. Like, in like the Blue Sky Cellar. It felt like one of those types of videos.
Sure, but I'm all for those videos.
Yeah.
So like I'm the type that will go to Blue Sky and watch it beginning to end. So I'm totally into those. I've watched a lot of Disney documentaries. So whenever I watch another one and I've read a lot about it and stuff, I'm always like, is there anything new in here that I didn't know before? And granted, it is a lot of the same repeated stuff you've seen or heard before. But there were a couple little things that I was surprised to hear because, for a long time, we'd always heard about Walt wanting to build a theme park or an amusement park across the street from his studios in Burbank. And the story that I had always heard was that Walt, quickly decided that he outgrew that small piece of land, and that's why Disneyland got moved to Anaheim. But in this documentary, they mentioned that the city of Burbank actually denied his proposal, which I'd never heard that angle before. So I'm assuming it's true, but I'd never heard that. So just imagine if Burbank had said yes, like we might not have gotten full-blown Disneyland. So that was kind of an interesting little point that I found interesting. The first episode is very Walt heavy. Of course, it's the Imagineering story, so this will go all the way through today eventually, but first episode, very much just Disneyland. And, one thing that kind of got me was they were talking about, like, how fearful Walt was when building Disneyland and just how much he'd really given up. He'd sold a vacation home. He sold off his life insurance. Like, he put it all in for Disneyland when everybody was saying this was going to be a failure. And, you hear these stories of Walt took this big risk and, like, just saying, oh, he took a big risk, and then hearing what he actually sold off in his lifetime to make this dream a reality that could have flopped, really, was kind of unbelievable and inspiring, and makes you realize that, like, I take no risks, is how I felt listening to this. I'm like, man, this guy really took insane risks.
Yeah, he pretty much leveraged everything he had on this.
Yeah, and you heard the same thing about Snow White and stuff. So this was something he did multiple times in his life, and I don't know of anybody that does that today, even corporations. Like, let's face it, like, if it would be easier for a corporation to be like, let's just risk everything, because it's not like ruining an individual's life per se. This was an individual man who decided, let's just bet it all and try and build Disneyland. And I don't know, it really kind of hit me watching the Imagineering story. I did have to laugh. They talk about opening day of Disneyland, and everybody knows the story of how it was a disaster and stuff, but they discuss how the critics really ridiculed Walt for opening this unfinished park and how it just didn't seem ready and all this stuff. I had to laugh just because I feel like it's the same complaints today with stuff like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And it's like, it's the same thing.
Everything's under construction.
Yeah, it's the same thing that we dealt with, that Walt was dealing with back in 1955. So I thought that was funny.
Choosing toilets or water fountains.
Yeah, which of course he went with the bathrooms. But anything that stuck out to you in the Imagineering story?
There's a couple things. Well, the one was when they were talking about the Jungle Cruise and they built up the field around it, and they were put up signs around town asking people, hey, we'll take your trees. If you want your trees gone, we'll come and take it out for you.
Yeah, so they needed trees, and instead of like buying them because they were out of money, I think it ended up costing $17 million for the park, which was 3 times the original budget. So they were looking to save however they could, and they ended up getting trees from neighbors and people who wanted trees removed from their yards. The Disneyland folks would go get it and bring it to the Jungle Cruise, which is kind of funny. They did show some cool footage of the Matterhorn being built and tested.
Yes, I had never seen any of those footages before.
Yeah, there was some footage in this documentary that I was like, I haven't seen. There's a lot of stuff you've probably seen before if you're a diehard Disney fan, but definitely some stuff you're like, oh, this is interesting.
Testing the Matterhorn with nothing but a track.
So there's a video of some dude testing the Matterhorn just like out in the open air in a track in the ride vehicle. It looked terrifying, like absolutely terrifying. That was crazy. One cool thing that they showed in this, which I'd never seen before, was Bob Gurr, Disney legend and former Disney Coast to Coast guest Bob Gurr. He brought us inside the Matterhorn. There's always that rumor of there's the basketball court inside the room, the break room in the Matterhorn, and he shows that there's not a court, but there is a hoop in there, and that was kind of cool. I don't think the public had ever seen that before. If they had, I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, I'd never seen it before either.
So that was cool. And then, of course, they talk about Mary Blair, who I actually didn't realize they were talking about, of course, her work with colors and how inspiring that is. But I didn't realize she had bad eyesight. And that was kind of prompted her work with colors and making all these bright things that were easily to see because she had such difficulty seeing. So a lot of good stuff. Obviously, it went way more in-depth than what we're touching on. These were just some fun little facts that I found watching this documentary.
I also loved the Lincoln fact where they were talking about building Abe Lincoln, and when the mechanics went wrong, they said Abe Lincoln would basically just throw a tantrum and like start spazzing out.
Yeah, and break through the chair and stuff. And that's the funny thing about audio animatronic figures is like these things can seriously hurt humans. Like we don't think of it, but the amount of force that's being whipped around when they just move their arm, it's a tremendous amount of force. And if these things go beyond the point they're supposed to because of a malfunction, it can really hurt people. So it was interesting to hear, Lincoln breaking a chair and stuff like that. One thing that I'll never get over with these documentaries, and first of all, it just in general with Disney Plus, they're going to be playing with your emotions. Because I will say there are a few times throughout this binging that, it's just touching and emotional and gets you emotional watching it. And I don't know what it is, but watching these guys who worked with Walt still get emotional to this day, talking about him and his death and everything, it always gets me emotional.
And they end the episode with him dying.
Yeah, I mean,
going into Epcot.
Yeah, his plans for Epcot, and that was his dream, and it really, every Disney fan thinks this, but it really made me think of it once again of, gosh, what would we have gotten in Florida if Walt had been around? And it certainly isn't what we got. And it's just interesting to think about. And the Imagineering story, beautiful. It's one of the things I'm definitely looking most forward to as far as future episodes are concerned. By the way, if you didn't know, if you're listening to this, Disney Plus is not doing the Netflix format where they're releasing all episodes at once. They are releasing like standard traditional television, where once a week there will be another episode released. So everything we're talking about, only like the first episode has been released. So yes, we saw episode 1 of the Imagineering story. I can't wait for episode 2. And hopefully this just goes on forever. Like whenever there's new stuff going on, they'll talk about it. So in any case, anything else about Imagineering story you want to touch on?
That's all I have.
Okay,
yeah.
So let's get to it. High School Musical, the series. Yes, we're all in this together, folks. This is something I've been excited about for a long time. High School Musical is a guilty pleasure for me that I feel zero guilt about. I just hearing those songs again is so exciting. I know you don't feel this way at all. You
not even a little bit.
Loved it. I think that this concept is great. If you don't know, High School Musical, the series takes place. It's a scripted show that takes place at the high school where they shot the movie High School Musical, and the drama department is putting on a production of High School Musical, the musical. So it's very meta. It's done mockumentary style, where sometimes the characters are talking to the camera, like, Modern Family or The Office, stuff like that. And I really loved it. Like I said, I love hearing that music again. It's great, and there are some great lines in it. Oh my! Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The Kristen Chenoweth ripoff character. There is an actress on the show. Forgive me. Maybe you can look it up.
As Kate Reindeers.
Kate what?
Reindeers.
Okay. She is playing the drama teacher, and it's Kristen Chenoweth. Like it's like a carbon copy with slight differences, and it's crazy because at first glance you're like, oh, Kristen Chenoweth's in the show. Nope, it's not her, and she acts exactly the same way.
And this actress originated the Chicago production as Glinda in Wicked. There
we go. So it's a little bit jarring, but there's some great lines from characters throughout the show. This line, some real good laugh out loud moments. I'm all for the arts. I pay for ad-free Spotify made me laugh so much. It was some other teacher at the school saying they support the arts because they pay for ad-free Spotify. I thought that was fantastic. Just, I don't know. Was there anything about this show that you liked?
It was, what I felt the most about it is it felt like a good kids series.
Okay. Fair enough.
But as far as like the singing goes, the singing didn't do it for me.
Here's the thing I will say about the singing. Okay, so younger people today have grown up, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, but they've grown up listening to auto-tuned singing on television. That is what they think is natural singing. Like, I've spoken to singing teachers about this, and they will have young students come in and try to recreate that digital sound with their natural voice because they think that's what singing is. It's not. So they are obviously digitizing it and auto-tuning and stuff like that. But I will say that this show is far less guilty of stuff like that than a show like Glee. Glee was insane when it came to the auto-tunes, like to the point that I'm like, am I even listening to a singer anymore? Because it just sounds like a computer. This show, I don't think it was like that. There were certain characters that were more auto-tuned than others, but there were some that was like beautiful voice. I liked it.
For like the lead girl, for example, when she goes and sings the big female song for her audition, and a different twist on the song, so a whole new arrangement that you wouldn't do in an actual musical theater audition. And then it was just pure auto-tune.
It's a High School Musical, dude. It still wasn't. It was not nearly as offensive as Glee's auto-tuning toward the end.
I did think it was funny though that when they walk into the auditorium for the audition, there's like a chorus line opening number going on, and then there's like a chorus line mixed with like Showgirls audition.
They were doing Showgirls in high school. All right.
No, like because when you walk in there, they do the the ka like. It was very much like, we already know this next group, and they're like, what? So it was one of those.
Some other great lines, and there's this one of the lead characters is talking to her grandmother, and there's this beautiful line that actually like made me stop and be like, oh, that's beautiful. Where she just goes, she asked the question, how do you stop a dream? And the answer is, you live it. And I was like, oh, wow. I don't know why. That really stuck out to me. Nice line. I will go on the record saying I am Team Ricky, not Team EJ. So that needs to happen by the end of the series. She needs to get back with Ricky. # Team Ricky.
And we got a boy, Sharpay.
And we got a boy playing Sharpay in High School Musical, the musical, on the series. Yes. So they're changing some things up. Another great line, Army Hammer just called. He wants his jawline back. I love it. Too good. But yes. Oh, and then here's a really fun little plot story that I think is going to get very exciting throughout the season. So obviously there's the lead characters and the new boyfriends. They're all fighting for the lead roles in the show. And you never see this on television shows, they actually list the understudies. And you're like, oh, there's going to be drama with people in understudies and someone getting hurt. Like, there's going to be some good stuff happening on High School Musical, the musical, the series. And if you don't already know, it's been renewed for a second season already.
So we get High School Musical 2, the musical, the series.
It'll be High School Musical... High School Musical 2, the musical, the series. Yeah, that's what it's going to have to be, assuming they do High School Musical 2 next.
And I believe the characters are sophomores or juniors.
One of them said he was a junior. He's the only one. Team Ricky. Ricky said he was a junior.
The EJ is a senior.
EJ's a senior?
Yes.
Okay. So, we'll see what happens, but... I enjoy it. I'm looking forward to the future episodes. I will definitely continue watching High School Musical, the musical, the series. Best title on Disney Plus right now, I would say. Not meaning literally just the title. Will you continue?
I'll probably finish it.
Okay, you'll keep watching it. And by finish, you mean you'll have to watch another season. So, cool. So that was High School Musical, the musical, the series. Then we watched The World According to Jeff Goldblum, which was one of the shows I was looking most forward to. For sure. I love Jeff Goldblum. It's no secret. Literally the first words he utters, I was laughing out loud. He just goes, hey, baby. And I was just like, he's just so Jeff Goldblum-y. I love it. What'd you think? This first episode was about, by the way, concept of this show is essentially, I'd say think like an Anthony Bourdain where he travels the world seeking things out instead of food. This is all different sorts of things. The first episode is sneakers, which I gotta be honest, opened my eyes to a lot of things. He was at a sneaker convention with people paying like absurd amounts of money for sneakers. I never knew this existed. So it was interesting. But what did you think?
I thought the concept of the episode was interesting, but I felt like, because Jeff Goldblum's always putting on a character now, but this was like...
I don't know if he is.
This one...
that is debatable.
The Spider-Man interview that he did...
At the D23 Expo?
It was the whole episode like that. And it just felt like he amped it up like 10 times what he normally does.
Here's the thing. I think he started getting hired for things because he was weird. And I think he amplified it a little bit at one point. I think it's him now.
Yeah.
I mean... I've seen him enough in live situations where it's always on. If it's an act, he's got to be exhausted, is how I feel about it. So I think he's just weird. Don't get me wrong. He sees a camera, he hams it up a bit, but so does everybody. I don't know. I love it.
I feel like I'll watch it if it's on, but I won't go out of my way to watch this one.
Oh, this is one I will be. In fact, I think the next episode is on Friday. I think they're releasing another episode. I will be watching it on Friday. I love this. I do love the fact that at the sneaker convention, Jeff Goldblum, who's a little crazy, looks at these sneaker people like they're crazy. Like, that was a great moment. Like, he was really kind of baffled. Like, you're paying how much money? And this is a rich man saying that.
There was millions of dollars of transactions happening while he was there.
Oh, unbelievable. And one of the coolest things was, so he went to a place that, really made footwear for athletes.
It was Adidas, I think.
It was Adidas, yeah. And they had him like run across a plate to measure his footprint and where the pressures and stuff. And they kept saying, "Oh, you're bopping. Quit bopping. Just run." And he was like, I don't know what you mean. And it was hilarious. But in any case, they have a perception research center where this was incredible. They hook him up to some wires and they show him a sneaker. And the computer can pick up, based on his facial expressions, how he feels about the sneaker. And he's like, "Well, can't you just tell me?" He's like, no, this computer tells us honestly how you feel about it. And he's like, "Well, this is what I do for a living, so let's test this machine." And they would throw like just an emotion at him and say, "Okay, sad, happy, whatever." And he'd do something with his face and the computer would pick it up, and it was like accurate.
Yeah, that was really funny.
That was hilarious.
That's probably my favorite part of the whole episode.
My favorite part was probably so he was working with a very famous shoe stylist, creating a shoe for himself. And he goes, I got a question for you. The guy asked Jeff Goldblum, and he goes, "Were dinosaurs real?" And Jeff Goldblum was definitely taken aback by this question. And he was like, "No, there's this theory that dinosaurs weren't actually real." And he goes, "Those people are wrong." So it was great. Overall, I mean, the world according to Jeff Goldblum is, I think, exactly what you would expect it to be. If you like Jeff Goldblum, you're going to love it. If you don't, you're going to hate it. I do hope that some of the future episodes are subject matters that interest me more. Sneakers don't really interest me. But he's such a great host and an interesting person that no matter what the subject is, it will always be a great show to me.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the show Explained on Netflix, where every week's a different topic.
You love that show. Yeah,
love Explained.
Yeah.
And
so you should love Jeff Goldblum. It's the greatest. I love it. The world according to Jeff Goldblum. Love it. Then we jumped into an original movie. The movie Noelle. Of course, we're heading toward the holiday season, so we watched this Christmas movie together. And this is the one starring Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I feel like it's a fun Christmas movie.
I don't know what the age... I don't know what the perfect demographic is. I guess kids who watch the Santa Claus, like that age... I don't know, like 10?
I think it just tried to be an overall just family Christmas movie.
Totally. This is one you can sit down with the entire family and enjoy. There's some nice hidden Mickeys in the tiles right at the beginning, which was fun. Now, this was interesting. This isn't really a spoiler, people know, but at the beginning of the film, you do see, Anna Kendrick's character as a child, and it's revealed that she is Santa Claus's child along with her brother. And it was interesting because they had Santa with a younger wife to explain how Santa could have such young children. It's like, Santa, you've got a young woman with you. And that was kind of just a moment that stuck out to me. Santa is in a very short period of this film for reasons I won't get into. But Tim Allen, I feel like if it's Santa in a Christmas, Santa in a Disney movie, should just always be Tim Allen. He could have come in for a day's work, I think.
If that.
Right.
Yeah.
So something interesting about this, one thing I mentioned is how I do feel like a lot of these projects that were released have been sitting on shelves for a while. I could be wrong, but was this obsession with iPads in this movie where everybody, adult, kid, whomever, was being asked, "What do you want for Christmas?" It was always an iPad, to the point that it almost felt like Apple sponsored this movie. I don't believe they did.
That's what it felt like completely.
It totally felt like that. But I think that it was probably just a year when iPads were really, really big that this film was made, or at least written, and it was never changed. So that was a little strange to me. This is weird to say, but it kind of dated it.
Yeah, if you took out the iPad and literally put anything else in there, it could have a timeless quality to it.
Yeah.
But because they use the iPad for they probably use it 10 times.
I mean, are iPads still? I know that iPads are still popular. People use them, but it's not like it's the thing everybody wants anymore.
No, more people would want an iPhone than an iPad.
Yeah, I feel like iPads have been out for a while now, and it's just not. I don't know. It's not the thing everybody would be asking for. So it did feel like it dated it a little bit, which was weird.
And the one jarring thing was the CG.
Oh yeah,
was not strong.
So that's one thing. Overall, Disney Plus has been saying over and over again, they get the question, what's the difference between the movies that will be going to Disney Plus and the movies that will be going to the theater? And they keep saying nothing. It's going to be the same quality. It's just going to be films that we feel would have a smaller audience and wouldn't be as successful in theaters. But, it's going to be the same, we'll put it through the same stress tests as far as story is concerned and the talent involved and the budget and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, the budgets are not the same because although I agree that Noelle was really good, and honestly, I could picture this in the theaters. I feel like it would do decent.
For sure. I think it would actually do pretty well for a Christmas movie.
But the CG reindeer and stuff, it was not great. It's still good, but it was a little bit like, okay, this looks like a TV movie versus a theater movie. So I'm calling it a little bit of BS on the whole, no, we're treating them the exact same. No, you're not. And there's a couple more examples of that in the future here. Great moment. So Anna Kendrick's character ends up, on Earth instead. So's on Earth, but she leaves the North Pole, and she's in a little store with holiday decorations and stuff, and she buys this fat little round Santa Claus soap dispenser, and just goes, "Oh, that's kind of offensive." And I was rolling on the ground, so funny. If you know Anna Kendrick, you know her.
If you enjoy Anna Kendrick, you'll enjoy this movie. I feel like.
And it's funny because people have very strong opinions about her. I know people that absolutely love her and then people that absolutely hate her. I'm very much in the middle. I'm like, yeah, she can be fun at times, but I'm not obsessed with her or anything. But people seem to have very strong opinions about her, which I find interesting.
I find that this movie is going to do well this holiday season. A lot of people are going to stream it.
Sure.
And I think it is perfectly set up for a sequel.
Yeah, and now it's one of those things that I am the type of person, I have Christmas traditions of watching the same movies every year, probably too many movies that I watch every year. I'm obsessed with holiday movies. And I was watching this and I was like, I don't know, will this be something that I feel like, I got to watch this every year? And I don't know the answer to that question, to be completely honest. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it would be an every year movie for me. If a sequel came out, I'd probably watch it again to refresh. But yeah, I enjoyed it. The kids, oh my gosh, the reaction shots of the children in this movie was one of the best parts. The camera would often cut away to just get a reaction shot of a child seeing something happening in the movie. And they were brilliant.
Yeah, that was amazing.
It was one of the best. It reminds me, do you ever watch Superstore on NBC?
I don't.
Okay, I love Superstore. It's great. One of the best things on that show, they have these little cutaways of just customers in the store doing weird things. And it's some of the funniest moments on that show. This is exactly like that. Some of these kids' expressions are actually really good acting. And hilarious and brilliant. So I shout out to the kids in this movie, given those amazing reaction shots. I loved it. And once again, kind of touched your heart by the end of this movie. There's in these Santa Claus movies, there's always an adult that needs some convincing that Santa Claus is real. And there's this beautiful speech of, can you see love? Can you see sorrow? Can you see joy? Well, these are all some of the most powerful things in the world, but we can't see them. Same with Santa Claus sort of situation. So it was beautiful. And by the way, Shirley MacLaine is in this movie. I kind of, if I knew that, I had forgotten going in.
Yeah, I didn't know she was in it. And then Billy Eichner's character is
Billy Eichner,
kind of weirdly in it, I feel like.
Well, we're not supposed to like him, nor do we like him in the movie. He's not a good guy. But yeah, he's in the movie. So after Noelle, we watched Encore, which this is a show produced by Kristen Bell, and it is basically, the concept is they go back to old cities or towns or schools where, in this first episode, it was a production of Annie from 1996. And they go and they get all these kids who were in this show and bring them back together to do an encore production now 20 plus years later. And as somebody who did theater in high school and performed in high school and all that stuff, I gotta say, this show, as much as I loved it, made me so uncomfortable. It felt awkward. It was everything. It's the reason I can't watch shows like American Idol. the audition process, the rehearsal process, as fun as they can be, are heartbreaking to watch. Like, I just kind of cry when somebody hits a wrong note or whatever. It just makes me cringe to a level that is just so uncomfortable. But at the same time, it's kind of exhilarating to watch this show. So it's hard to... I will say, if you grew up performing, it's probably a hard show for you to watch.
Yeah, what I found interesting the most about it is, so the concept is they bring most of the cast back, and then everyone else in the cast that they didn't bring back, like the ensemble, is done by Broadway performers.
By the way, the people they bring in to like direct this production are like Tony Award nominees, and same with the musical director and the choreographer and stuff. Like, these are professionals that they bring in to work with these people who are now, you know, police officers or nurses or school teachers or housewives or whatever. So they're dealing with people who haven't sung a note in 20 years, and they have like 5 days to put this together.
Yeah, so we're guessing that they gave them the scripts months in advance to learn their lines.
I don't know about
again.
months, but my guess is they got the scripts earlier so that they could learn their lines.
And I do find it interesting that the first show they went with was a cast of Annie.
Why?
Because Annie is traditionally a kids show that is very easy for kids to sing.
Okay.
And having it, even in high school, I think it's weird having a high school production of Annie, but then there were adults singing like Maybe and Tomorrow. I think it personally, I would have loved to have been in that audience.
I would have hated it. See, that type of bad performance kills me. I've gotten to the point, this is so sad to say, but it's hard. I'm not going to say names, but I went to a college production. It was a community college production of Cabaret. I think this was about a year ago. And I just can't. I went to support somebody, but I have like, if you're the person sitting next to me, I am grabbing your arm. I am squeezing because I just cringe so much. I can't handle it.
And this production of Annie was full of cringe because not really anyone could sing much anymore.
I mean, the girl playing Annie was still could sing, but yeah, it was people who really couldn't carry a tune even in a lot of cases.
And then they showed the video of the original production, and they couldn't carry a tune back then.
They were better back then, but yeah, it was interesting. It is heartwarming as well. As awkward as it is, it's heartwarming. You hear about, you know, how people's lives turned out and what their dreams were and what they actually became and stuff. It's a touching show, but it's awkward and it's uncomfortable and it's cringeworthy. But I love it.
Oh, I'm excited for future episodes.
Yeah, I will continue to watch Encore. It's definitely a highlight. Let's move on to The Mandalorian. This was a very much anticipated show for Disney Plus. Of course, it lives in the Star Wars universe. What'd you think? You're a bigger Star Wars guy than me.
So Star Wars is my favorite thing ever. And
Star Wars is your favorite thing ever.
As far as like world building and stuff goes.
Okay.
So it's like stories. I've always loved the Star Wars stories. I enjoyed it, but it was a tease.
I was bored. I like Star Wars. I'm very excited for the what's it called? The Rise of Skywalker?
Rise of Skywalker.
I'm excited for that's how big a fan I am. No, but I'm like excited for it, but I'm not a diehard Star Wars guy. I was kind of bored watching it. I know you watch a lot of the other series. You watch Clone Wars. You basically watch everything that's Star Wars. I stick to like the movies that go to the theaters. That's kind of where I am with Star Wars fandom. But I was like, I'm definitely going to check out Mandalorian. I didn't love it. I will probably give it maybe 2 more episodes and decide then whether or not I continue with it. I was just a little confused as to like, okay, do we know any of these people? Does this fit in somehow? And if I don't know these people, why do I care? I don't know. Some cool moments. There was like some cool stuff that we'd never seen in a Star Wars movie before. Like I loved so many times in the Star Wars world, we see these sliding doors. And in this case, like we saw it chop a person in half, which was kind of cool. Like, oh, that's how we're going to kill that one. All right.
Yeah, so with the first episode, it's a lot of build and it's slow. So you just have to know it's all about just setting up I felt like this episode was a world building episode.
Perhaps. And I guess that's fair.
And there is action and stuff in this episode. The very first scene and then the very last 2 scenes are like very much filled with like heart pumping action. Yeah,
there's a ton of action, and there's a very cool droid that we see in this, like a really cool droid that we'd never seen before that I loved.
I think it's IG-11.
I have no idea.
It's Taika Waititi.
Instagram 11?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So One plus I'll give it. There is, for the fans of the Star Wars holiday special out there, there is a Life Day reference
Within the first 5 minutes?
in Mandalorian. I was like, wow, they went there. All right. I accept.
Canon. Holiday.
Yeah, the Star Wars holiday special is now canon because of or at least Life Day is canon.
It's funny because I was just texting Jeff the other day, and I was like, I wish in Olga's Cantina on Life Day once a year they'd have B. Arthur character come out and sing us a song.
I know a lot of people hoping for that. So yeah, Life Day is a thing in the Star Wars universe officially, according to Mandalorian. This is another one of those things. Now, granted, Star Wars films are very expensive movies to make, and the computer animation and graphics that they create for it are not cheap. But once again, with Disney Plus saying, no, we're treating it the same, it's going to look as good as the movie, I disagree. It didn't look as good as the movies. It looked great.
No, so it doesn't look like the current movies. I felt like it looked more like Revenge of the Sith level.
Okay, but that was the early 2000s.
Right, that's what it felt like.
Yeah, it looked great. Don't get me wrong, especially for a TV show. It's just I think that they exaggerated a bit when it comes to the quality of content as far as visuals are concerned. But other than that, it looks like a Star Wars movie. A lot of practical stuff, which I love. A lot of the creatures are practical. A lot of prosthetics and actual droids and stuff like that. So that's fantastic.
It looked like they were on Batuu for a good portion of it.
Yeah, they could easily shoot. I'm telling you, after Disneyland closes, it would all have to take place at nighttime unless they just brought in a lot of lights. But they could easily shoot a series for Disney Plus in Disneyland, easily, in Batuu. Because anybody that's visited knows it looks just like a set, and Mandalorian kind of looked like Batuu a little bit. So, yeah, it was cool. Like I said, I'll check out a couple more and see if I get into it. If not, I will not be watching.
It ends on a massive cliffhanger.
Yes. For a second, I was like, well, how does it end?
It's a pretty big spoiler.
Yeah. So yeah, it was, it was good. But in any case, let's move on from there. We check out Forky Asks a Question. Now, I will say, this is where we start getting into some of the short form content. And there is definitely a good amount of content that was created for Disney Plus that feels like YouTube viral videos, essentially. And is that a cop-out? I don't know. That's up for you to decide. But stuff like Forky Asks a Question, these are literally like 5 minutes long. We actually, if you were at the D23 Expo at the Disney Plus panel, you saw this. They showed the entire thing. The first one's called What is Money? And it's a conversation between Forky and Ham. And, it's funny. Forky's a great character. So, it's funny, especially his eye swirl. I'm obsessed with his eye swirl. But other than that, not much to say.
Not much to say. It's just one of those ones. Is like, if you want to watch it, watch it.
I do like the idea of, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't want more Toy Story movies. I'm done. I was done after 3. Not that I disliked 4, but I was, to me, the Toy Story movies were done after 3. But I like them being kept alive in short form. So I like how they've had TV holiday specials. I like that they've had shorts before movies. I like that they're creating stuff for Disney Plus with these characters. I think that's cool.
Yeah, and I love their TV specials.
Their holiday specials, especially the Halloween one, Toy Story of Terror.
Yeah, that was great.
I like that one a lot. So
I'm definitely a big fan of keeping them alive in short format.
Yeah.
I like the third one too. The fourth one ended well, is great for me as well too. So I'm like, don't make any more. You have 4 really good movies.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they will. I don't.
With how it ended, I don't think they will either.
Well, that's what we said last time. I mean, maybe in 20 years when when Tom Hanks and Tim Allen
grandpas.
Yeah, they probably won't be doing the voices at that point, but yeah, it was enjoyable. Speaking of the short form stuff, they do have the Spark shorts, and there are actually 4 Spark shorts available to begin with. There's one called Float, there's one called Kit Bull, then there's Smash and Grab, and Pearl. My favorite was absolutely Float. The other 3, especially 2 of them, I didn't care for. They weren't my cup of tea.
One I found really offensive.
Which one?
Pearl.
You found it offensive? Oh, because it kind of beats down older white men, for sure.
Yeah, it's like, it
makes all old white men look like jerks, which some people would probably
how
agree
you should
with.
not be yourself, you should conform.
Well, I mean, by the end, they kind of...
They fixed that.
But yeah, it was weird. And, you know, but the one I love is Float. Float was this beautiful story about a dad and his child. And we discover early on that this child can float, essentially fly. And he's keeping this a secret from the neighbors and stuff, because anybody that sees this kid flying obviously gives a look of shock and, you know, immediately points this kid out as being a freak. And by the end of it, I'm just gonna tell you what this is. It's short anyway, but by the end of it, the dad does yell at the child for flying in public and goes, "Why can't you just be normal?" And it's kind of this heart-wrenching moment. But the reason I wanted to mention this is because it went in a very different direction than I expected. When I saw him yell at his kid, say, "Why can't you just be normal?" I expected, well, you see the kid get very upset by this and start crying, you know, in a very sad way, not like a melodramatic tantrum way. And what I expected, I thought it was kind of a comment on, you know, the public telling you to be normal or be like everyone else. And I thought the kid was actually going to lose his powers to fly because he was going to conform to everybody else's vision of what people should be in order to fit in. And I thought that's the direction that they were going. It ends up going in a different direction. At the end, you see that the director, the film was made for his son, whom I'm assuming is probably autistic or something like that.
Yeah, something special needs.
And so it was like, no, the kid could still float. They just learned to accept it and really love the kid for being the way that he was. So to me, it was a surprise ending just because I was seeing it going in a different direction. I actually like the story I told as well. I would love to see something like that made as a short form as well, because I think that that's a reality, is people kind of just lose their eccentric qualities because people tell them it's not cool to be different.
Which is why I think they made the short the way they did.
Yeah, so
it's okay to be different.
Yeah, so the Float's definitely the best one in my opinion.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't like the other three.
Yeah, Kit Bull was about a kitten finding an abused puppy.
What you will notice with these is, of course, with the shorts programs, the purpose of the shorts programs of both Pixar and Walt Disney Animation is often to kind of get new directors ready, see if they are ready, and also try out new animation styles or technologies or whatever. In the case of Kit Bull, it was definitely an animation style you don't typically see at Disney, so that was different and unique and cool. Pearl, same thing. They kind of used some mediums that I don't think you typically see at Disney.
Yeah, it was two different styles of animations.
Yeah, mixed together. So like I appreciated them for that. It was just the stories I didn't love so much. And then Smash and Grab, I was kind of out. Even with a 5-minute timeline, I was still kind of like my brain was going in different directions, thinking of other things. It just didn't grab my attention at all.
Yeah, it was an interesting one for sure.
So yeah, so there's that. We did check out Lady and the Tramp, the live action movie. I will go on the record saying Lady and the Tramp live action better than Lion King live action. Could easily be on the big screen in theaters. It wouldn't do as well as Lion King, but it was a great movie.
I say it's in their top 5 of live action releases.
Yeah, it was a really good live action adaptation. Now, to be fair, I haven't seen the animated film in a very long time, so I don't know how much it strayed from the original or not. I feel like it definitely took liberties and made it its own thing, which I like and appreciated. There was a reason to make it live action, unlike just a carbon copy. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it could go on the big screen as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's an excellent movie, and I actually feel bad that it's not going on the big screen because I feel like
it's good because it brings some legitimacy to Disney Plus.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Plus, I think the only reason this may not be true is because of the name Tim Burton that was attached to it. But like Dumbo, I think would have been a Disney Plus movie if Disney Plus had been around at that time. The only thing that might have kept it out was like a Tim Burton contract. But they've got some pretty big names working on Disney Plus stuff, so maybe not. But I do feel like with these animation to live action, it's the stuff that is my generation grew up with right now that are becoming the mega blockbusters. We want to see Aladdin. We want to, in air quotes, see Aladdin, Lion King. Those are the things that are blowing up. People my age have kids. They're bringing their kids to see the stuff they grew up with. It's the older stuff like Dumbo that flopped. So Lady and the Tramp, I'm not sure how well it would do in theaters, but I think a lot of people will watch it on Disney Plus. and enjoy it. It's not a Christmas movie per se, but it's a really nice film to see this time of year because it bookends with the winter holidays, and it's beautiful overall. Like visually, holy moly, some CG questionable stuff, but as far as like the live action location, they shot it in Savannah, Georgia. And these homes, it made me want to visit Savannah. I couldn't believe how beautiful these homes were, and like the exteriors, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. So, Lady and the Tramp, highly suggest checking out Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Very much worth your hour and 40 minutes or however long it was.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about Lady?
There's a new cat song, so the cats do exist.
Cats got a new song. They got rid of the We Are Siamese song for controversial reasons, and yeah, they do have a new song. The cats look terrible.
The cats look really bad. The bad.
Animation is not good.
I do feel like this is one of those movies though, like little kids, like how they want to like repeat movies over and over and over again.
Yeah, I
feel like this will be one of those movies where they'll be like, play it again. I
want to watch it again, but I want to watch the animated film and then watch it again. But I did like it. Very, very good. We did watch Pixar in real life. This is another one of those short form, honestly viral video things. I don't want to say much about it because on the next episode of Disney Coast to Coast, I'm going to be talking more about Pixar in real life with a special guest co-host who was involved with it. So I'm going to just leave it at that for now. But I will say that, once again, it's viral videos. It's like a 5-minute video. And the first one was associated with Inside Out. But it's a fun little series that, like I said, next Wednesday's episode, make sure you're subscribed so that you can listen to that with the special guest. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Great. Another short form thing, and this definitely felt like a YouTube video, is called Disney Family Sundays. And this is basically an arts and crafts video. It's about 5 minutes long. They built a Dumbo tent, and it was fun. It was cute. I'm sure that there are families that will love it, crafty families with young kids who will become obsessed with it. But it's YouTube content, which is fine.
It's definitely not for people that don't have kids.
Yeah. The craft was whatever. I don't know. It kind of feels like Disney Plus is better than this, but I get it. They just launched. They want new content. Like, to be fair, we watched everything new available in about 10 hours, I think. We started at 6 a.m. and it was about 10 hours of watching. So that's not a ton of brand new content. It's actually less. And I'm not like upset about that simply because I knew we were doing this for this episode. So it's been a long day, but it's a bit less than I would have expected. I would have expected some more documentaries maybe available. Really, it's only 2 movies, a bunch of short form stuff, and a handful of like series, full length series. So, I get it. They need content. So some short form stuff started off. And in the next months even, there's going to be so much more new content coming that I'm excited about. Howard, the documentary about Howard Ashman, I'm super stoked about. And there's a bunch of series that's coming
all the Marvel shows.
That I'm not so excited about.
The new Obi-Wan series.
Oh, yeah, Obi-Wan. They haven't even started shooting that. Love, Simon. Oh, my gosh. They haven't even started shooting yet, I don't think. But holy crap, when Love, Simon comes out, I'm going to be obsessed. It better be brilliant. But you did mention Marvel. There is one Marvel thing on there. It's called Marvel's Hero Project. This is another one of those tearjerker shows. It's, playing with your emotions. And it's about finding people in the real world kids in the real world who, make our everyday superheroes and the things that they do. And this first one features a young girl who was born missing an arm, and how she likes to think of herself kind of as a creator-inventor, and she creates this sparkle cannon that she attaches to her limb. And it was beautiful. It was a nice little story, and
they get a little comic book created around them.
Yeah, which is a cool collectible. And actually, you can as they created them, they give them the comic book, and I was like, gosh, is there a way to get these? And they do make them available online for everybody to read, and it was cool. I liked it. I don't know if I'll continue. I probably will continue it. It's probably only 10 episodes or something, so I'll probably watch that.
Yeah, it's another one that you can easily just toss on in the background while you're doing something else, and tune in and just like enjoy it.
And it's inspiring, so that's a good thing. So yes, so that's everything. So it was Imagineering Story, High School Musical, the musical, the series, The World According to Jeff Goldblum, Noelle, Encore, The Mandalorian, Forky Asks a Question, the Spark Shorts, which included Float, Kit Bull, Smash and Grab, and Pearl. And then there's Lady and the Tramp, Pixar in Real Life, Disney's Family Sundays, and Marvel's Hero Project. Woo! Okay.
It's a lot.
I want to know your number one and your last place.
Okay. Number one, the thing my top three of enjoyable.
Okay.
I'll go four. I liked a bunch of them.
That's like half of the
The
content.
Imagineering Story was great, but I think my number one was probably still The Mandalorian because I wanted to watch more.
Okay.
Because
fair enough.
it ended in a way.
That's interesting. I did not.
It ended in a way where I was like, I didn't get enough.
Okay.
Because it's a short. It's only like
35 minutes,
yeah.
something like 39. Yeah, something like that.
So that one just felt like too short for me, so I wanted to watch more, so I'm craving that one. I plan on watching High School Musical, the series.
Yay!
I plan on watching all the Imagineering series.
Yeah.
I enjoyed both movies.
Okay, yeah.
And the shorts were fine.
Yeah, the Spark Shorts were my least favorite just because 3 of the 4 I kind of didn't like. So as much I can, I appreciate them for what they are, and congratulations to the directors of them. And honestly, it is very cool. I love that there's a platform for stuff like this because normally, like I said, these are made to test within the company who's ready to direct a feature or whatever. So I love that there's a place for us to see these, not just before a movie. So it's more opportunity. That's great. But it's probably the thing I enjoyed least that I watched this morning. My number one is The Imagineering Story. I mean, I don't think that's any surprise. It's about Walt Disney, this first episode. So obviously that's a huge thing for me. But overall, very happy with Disney Plus. Totally worth $7 a month if you're on the fence about it. And I enjoy it. The only thing that makes me sad about Disney Plus is this is just the digital age in general, but obviously having Disney Plus, you now have access to practically everything Disney's ever made. So that means people are going to stop collecting Blu-rays and DVDs. And the problem I have with that is that you don't own anything. Yeah, you can download these movies, but the minute you stop your service, you no longer have access to them. So, that obviously it's a good model, a business model, because you're paying them every month. Whereas, I could buy a Blu-ray for $25, which is 5 months, less than 5 months of Disney Plus. So anything beyond 5 months, you're essentially paying for something you already have. In any case, that's the problem I have with Disney Plus, but that's just the digital world in general. I hope that, I would advise anybody listening to this, if you have a favorite Disney movie, still buy the Blu-rays. And I'll tell you why. Because Disney can still go in and manipulate these movies however they want. If 10 years from now there's something in one of these movies that becomes offensive and in the future, or whatever, if something happens in history and they're like, no, we can't play that anymore because of that, they can go in and edit these and change them however they want. And they already have started doing that. If you own a Blu-ray from that time period, nobody can change that. So just keep that in mind. Like, don't stop buying home video of your favorite
For example,
content.
on Disney Plus, in A New Hope, the scene where Han and Greedo meet each other is different than the previous releases.
Yeah, and so that's been changed like 4 times now, or 3 times, something like that. So I don't know. I'm just a stickler when it comes to that. I don't like manipulating the original vision of the director for any reason. I don't like rewriting history. I think it's a very unhealthy, bad thing to do, because if you erase history, you repeat history, and that's bad in a lot of cases. So in any case, I'll get off that soapbox.
Here is a bonus, though. On Disney Plus, you still get the same features you would on a Blu-ray. So you just go to the extra section.
In some cases. Not all.
And you can watch some of the behind the scenes, the deleted scenes.
Yeah. So, but in any case, Disney Plus, great. They've had a fantastic launch day from what I can tell. Didn't have any major problems. This is a huge success for them as far as I'm concerned. I haven't seen the numbers or anything. I'm assuming they're making a good chunk of change. Although this is not something that I would expect their investment returned in the first year. This is something that's going to take several years because it's a massive, massive financial burden for them, I'm sure. Like, this isn't cheap what they're doing. So I applaud everybody involved. It's fantastic. But folks, I think that means it's trivia time. All right, Victor, do you want to hit me with a trivia question first, or shall I hit you?
I'll give you my first one.
Okay.
In Star Wars,
I don't know.
have they ever discussed Yoda's species before?
I'm going to say yes.
That would be incorrect.
They've never discussed. Didn't you say there was another Yoda? Like well, this is something to do with the Mandalorian. We see a creature that looks like Yoda.
So Yoda is a Jedi Master.
Yeah.
There's also Yaddle, who's in Phantom Menace. She sits on the Jedi Master Council.
Okay.
She dies in between episodes 1 and 2.
Okay.
That's essentially the only other creature that they've shown of Yoda's species. A lot of people think that they're Lanix, but the Lanix is just a species that looks similar to Yoda's species.
You get very nerdy when it comes to Star Wars.
And I'll give you a bonus question.
Okay.
What Marvel
I don't know.
Disney Plus show premieres first?
The one that we just watched. The Marvel...
Of the series.
No,
the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You lose. The answer is Marvel's Hero Project.
And Cinematic Universe.
No, I don't buy that. I don't know. She-Hulk.
WandaVision.
Okay. Oh, is that the first one?
Mm-hmm.
That one I'm actually going to check out. That looks interesting. My question for you has to do with Encore. Now, I know you already know part of this, but if you don't know, the folks listening, Encore, the show about the high schoolers coming back to do these musicals, actually premiered a while back on ABC. There was a pilot that was shot, and it kind of came and went. They showed the pilot, never went anywhere, and this is now it coming back for Disney Plus. So I want to know what show was actually, what musical did they do in that first Encore episode, and when did that pilot air on ABC?
I think it was Oklahoma.
No.
It was not.
No.
Into the Woods?
Into the Woods. Yes.
Okay, that was the first one?
The first one was Into the Woods.
Into the Woods, and it aired in 2017.
When? Take a guess. Pick a month.
June.
No. We're close to the month.
July.
No, we're close to the month.
Oh, Christmas time.
December 10th, 2017. It was on ABC, and it was hosted by Kristen Bell. And yeah, they did Into the Woods. I don't know. I know that they did release what musicals we'll see. In fact, episode 2, I believe, is going to be Beauty and the Beast, which I'm looking forward to. I don't know if Into the Woods is included. And if it's not, I'm kind of bummed. Like, it's the lost pilot episode of Encore, if that's the case.
Yeah, so the 10 episodes that they showed on the Disney Plus story, they had no Into the Woods on any of the 10 episodes.
That's a bummer. All right. Well, in any case, Victor, thank you so much for coming on and marathoning with me all morning.
Yay.
We set our alarms to watch Disney Plus this morning because we are that cool. So, Victor, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Hope you had some fun. And folks, don't forget, we are winding toward the end of 2019, which means you need your 2020 Disney Coast to Coast calendars, now available as either a wall calendar or a desk calendar. Head over to DisneyCoastToCoast.com to order yours today and help support the show. And in addition, on the calendar, every Disney park holiday, or opening rather, is marked on the calendar so you can celebrate the Disney parks anniversaries all year long. Like I said, head to DisneyCoastToCoast.com to order yours today. It's only there for a limited time. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePauli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com.